today on day 3 I would be riding up the east coast from Loch Ness to Thurso. I had a splendid night at the Highland Bear Lodge and I've got no complaints about the hotel itself, but unfortunately if you're a biker I can't really recommend this hotel to you, because if it wasn't hard enough getting up the path, as you'll see from my part 2 video, today when I was actually trying to get down the path it was even worse. Such a steep gradient, gravel everywhere, really difficult. I had to literally step the bike down with my toes on the floor for the entire time. For that reason and that reason alone, I wouldn't recommend staying at that hotel if you're a biker. So my journey resumed, initially riding along Loch Ness. It was early Saturday morning and I've practically had the whole road to myself, and at times had the impressions of riding in an alpine pass. Twisty curvy road up and down alongside the Loch Ness, stunningly beautiful. A stunningly beautiful portion of the route on the approach to the official start of the NC500. Then riding through Inverness, a beautiful quaint town. Alas, I didn't have time to stop there, so I just passed through, stopping to get some fuel on the way out. Black Isle. This reminded me of one of my favourite Tintin books that I liked to read in my youth. Before long I saw my first NC500 sign, signalling that the NC500 circuit had begun in earnest. I had intended to check out the Touchstone Maze, but where Google Maps led me to ended up being a disappointment. I wasn't able to park there, there were signs up, and then when I looked at how far the walk was, it was showing 54 minutes from where Google Maps told me the maze was. Not sure if that might have been a Google Maps malfunction. Let me know in the comments if you've done the NC500 and you've successfully managed to reach the Touchstone Maze, and if I missed out something special there. Anyhow, I had no time to lose as I had a lot on my plate, a lot to get done today. So without further ado, I pressed on along the east coast of Scotland. And then I dropped into the Glenmorangie Distillery, as I just happened to pass it by chance and thought I would nip in to check it out and top up on a bit of whiskey. then stopped off at the Dunrobin Castle in Gulsby. When you do the NC500, if you start from Inverness and you're going up the east coast, I highly recommend you stop in and see the Dunrobin Castle. Initially when I got there, I just admired the outside of the building and got myself a coffee, and then I was going to head on my way. But then when I considered that I had plenty of time, because I'd left early, I thought I'd get the ticket and go inside. I'm so glad I did, because the castle grounds are absolutely fantastic.
Like rain under coast is the king in command, rides on good steed over England's fair land, all for to honour the drum.
And also I was treated to an incredible falconry show, highly enjoyable, one not to be missed.
Serfs and the boys pound on the drum in the days of the year. Sing with the wakes, ladies and lakes, open their hearts on the days of the year. As ladies drop kerchiefs, the lords bend their backs, and knighthoods run gauntlets as kings pay their jacks, all for to honour the drum. Maidens and woodsmen all lending an ear, building the pyres, marking days of the year. Wine and the loin, serfs and the boys, pound on the drum in the days of the year. Sing with the wakes, ladies and lakes, open their hearts on the days of the year. The crown can be topped and the castle was breached, no sheets for the swords, for the shires can be leeched, all for to honour the drum. Companies kept with the coins of the realm, royalty frequents the ash and the elm. Wine and the loin, serfs and the boys, pound on the drum in the days of the year. Ladies and lakes, open their hearts on the days of the year.
Further north, I checked out the Whaligoe Steps at Whaligoe Libster. Remnants of old fishing steps that the fishermen used to use to bring the fish in and then bring them back up inland. I'd soon stripped off all my bike gear because I was getting really warm. It was a beautiful day, in fact, very warm and way too warm for bike gear with layers underneath. I was quite puffed out by the time I'd been down and back up again, and I also checked out the protruding cliff, and even though I'm not scared of heights, that did scare me a little. So if you're scared of heights, I wouldn't recommend that bit. From there I went on to Wick and checked out old Wick Castle. Then I proceeded on to John O'Groats. from there, finally, I went to my hotel in Thurso.